Rap singer Eazy-E has lost his battle with AIDS just 10 days after revealing that he had the disease. The 31-year-old rapper died last night in a Los Angeles hospital.
Something about Eazy-E's death has never felt right. The godfather of gangsta rap went from running an empire to lying in a hospital bed within a week. And the story we were told doesn't add up. Behind the headlines, there's a trail of silence, strange coincidences, and people who still refuse to talk. What really happened in those final days? And why are so many afraid to tell the truth? Today, we pull back the curtain on the mystery that changed hip-hop forever. And the truth waiting on the other side isn't good. The rise that created rivals. Before Eazy-E became the godfather of gangsta rap, he was Eric Lynn Wright, a small-time dealer from Compton who turned hustle into history. Through Ruthless Records, founded in 1986 with Jerry Heller, he gave the streets a microphone and made the world listen. His group N.W.A. didn't just make music, they detonated a cultural bomb. Songs like Boys in the Hood and F-Bot the Police exposed America's racial hypocrisy, and suddenly, this kid from Compton was shaping a movement. But the same rise that made him famous also made him a target. Behind the gold chains and fast cars, Eazy was a businessman in a cutthroat industry. When Dr. Dre and Ice Cube left N.W.A. over disputes with Heller, the brotherhood fractured. The feud spilled into lyrics, lawsuits, and headlines. Eazy hit back with real mother G's, calling out Dre as soft and accusing Death Row Records of betrayal. That diss track wasn't just entertainment, it was war. As the High Snobiety article noted, Eazy-E was ruthless in more ways than one, but his enemies were equally relentless. By 1994, the landscape of West Coast rap was a battlefield. Suge Knight, co-founder of Death Row, was rising fast, feared for his violent tactics and street connections. Rumors swirled that Suge wanted total control of the scene, and Eazy was the last man standing in his way. Even former insiders claimed Suge had once threatened him in person, a chilling encounter that Eazy reportedly brushed off. Eazy's fame, money, and independence made him powerful, but power always paints a target. He had built an empire, and that empire had enemies. Little did he know, the most dangerous battle wouldn't be fought in the studio or the streets. It would be inside his own body. The official medical story. In early 1995, the hip-hop world was blindsided. The man who had once embodied street invincibility suddenly appeared fragile and mortal. On February 24th, Eazy-E was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, complaining of a brutal cough he thought was asthma. Just a few weeks later, the diagnosis came, AIDS. On March 16, 1995, his attorney, Ron Sweeney, read a public statement confirming it. 9 days later, on March 26th, Eazy-E was gone. The speed of his decline shocked even those closest to him. In that statement, Eazy seemed to take full responsibility for his fate. He admitted, "I had other women. Maybe success was too good to me." His tone was humble, almost apologetic, far removed from the brash confidence fans knew. According to High Snobiety, Eazy-E's press release read like a confession, portraying a man seemingly at peace, yet trapped in disbelief. But not everyone bought it. His wife, Tamika Woods Wright, and their newborn son tested negative, raising eyebrows. How could Eazy succumb so quickly, while those closest to him remained untouched? Doctors said it was a rare, fast-moving case, that Eazy might have contracted the virus years earlier. Yet the timeline still didn't sit right with fans or medical professionals. The High Snobiety article reminds readers that AIDS typically takes years to progress, not weeks. That single line has fueled conspiracy talk for decades. The N.W.A. TV docuseries. The mysterious death of Eazy-E also noted how suspiciously calm the hospital narrative was. No visible struggle, no slow deterioration, just an overnight collapse. For someone who had been performing and active for weeks before, the shift felt unnatural. And that's where the whispers began. Because if this wasn't natural, then what really caused Eazy-E's death? The injection hypothesis. If Eazy-E didn't die from a naturally contracted virus, then how did he really get sick? That's where the most disturbing theory takes shape: the injection hypothesis. For years, fans and insiders have whispered that someone may have intentionally infected him with HIV. It sounds like a horror story, but in hip-hop circles, it's been treated as a real possibility. The idea stems from a chilling rumor that HIV-positive blood can be used as a biological weapon. N.W.A suggested that many people suspected Eazy-E's death was no coincidence, but rather the result of deliberate orchestration. This theory gained traction after Suge Knight's 2003 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, where he joked, "They got stuff they call Eazy-E needles. They take the blood from somebody with AIDS and shoot you with it." The audience laughed, but many didn't find it funny. The WeTV docuseries points out that this moment reignited suspicions that Eazy's death was not natural at all. People close to Eazy claimed he was healthy and active just weeks before being hospitalized. No long-term symptoms, no visible decline. According to Deadline's coverage of the series, the investigation tests multiple conspiracy theories, including the claim that Eazy-E may have been purposefully injected. The timing, the lack of illness in his partners, and his sudden collapse all fueled the belief that he was targeted. Still, medical experts argue the theory defies scientific logic. HIV symptoms rarely appear within days or weeks. There's no evidence of deliberate infection, and no proof beyond speculation. Yet, for those who saw Eazy's rise threaten powerful men, coincidence feels too easy to believe. Whether myth or truth, the injection story refuses to die. And the deeper investigators looked, the more suspicious the witnesses became. Voices that refused to stay silent. For years, the world accepted Eazy-E's death as a tragic twist of fate, until his own family decided to reopen the case. His daughter, E.B. Wright, alongside her mother, Tracy Jernagan, began digging for the truth in the WeTV docuseries The Mysterious Death of Eazy-E. Their mission wasn't about fame, it was about justice, and about breaking a silence that had lasted for nearly 3 decades. As Deadline reported, the series tracks down eyewitnesses to Eazy-E's last days, shares unseen footage, and tests conspiracy theories surrounding his death. These weren't random fans or conspiracy chasers. They were people who had been in the hospital, who had seen the rapid transformation of a healthy man into a dying patient. Tracy Jernagan described the timeline bluntly. He was sick for 3 weeks. That's it. The speed, the secrecy, the missing paperwork, it all screamed foul play. The docu-series also revealed testimonies from medical staff and former associates who claimed things didn't add up. Some said hospital records were inconsistent. Others recalled unusual visits and security measures during Eazy's final days. His manager, Jerry Heller, once told Rolling Stone that Eazy's so-called farewell letter didn't sound like him at all. Eazy wasn't sentimental like that. That statement alone cast doubt on whether his final words were even authentic. What makes this chapter so haunting is how united his family is in doubt. E.B. told N.W.A that she doesn't believe her father's death was natural, and she's determined to prove it. "There are too many holes, too many unanswered questions," she said. And as their investigation unfolded, one truth became impossible to ignore. The deeper they looked, the more powerful the enemies seemed. Truth buried beneath the headlines. When you lay all the pieces on the table, the lightning-fast decline, the negative test results of his family, the eerie Eazy-E needle comments, and the missing medical clarity, one question refuses to die. Was Eazy-E slayed? The official reports say no, that he simply fell victim to a virus he never saw coming. But the evidence, the contradictions, and the timing make that explanation harder to believe. Deadline's coverage of the mysterious death of Eazy-E notes that the investigation pulls back the curtain on decades of speculation, blending scientific analysis with street suspicion. It's a polite way of saying what fans have screamed for years, that the truth doesn't fit the paperwork. Even if the injection theory remains unproven, it highlights something darker about the industry itself. How easily a man can disappear behind a convenient narrative. Eazy-E wasn't just another artist. He was an empire in motion. He owned masters, built one of hip-hop's most profitable labels, and refused to bow to corporate control. If that kind of independence threatened the wrong people, his death could have been as much about business as biology. N.W.A summed it up bluntly. If the conspiracy were true, it would mean power in hip-hop is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Whether through neglect, betrayal, or deliberate harm, one thing is clear: Eazy-E didn't get justice. Thanks for watching. Was Eazy-E's death fate or foul play? Share your thoughts below and hit like if you believe artists deserve the truth. Subscribe for more deep dives, and don't miss our next video because every legend hides a darker story.